Okay, we are going to start our annual tips and tricks. Very excited for this one. I'm James. If you haven't joined us before, we hold our twice a month, every other week meetings. This will be one of the last ones of the year and one of the most exciting. I'm going to hand this over to McFinn to say hello to everyone and get things started. Oh, McFinn, we got to unmute you first.
It's all technology. Anyway, tips and tricks. We only bring it once a year, but we bring it so that you can have a tip or a trick every day of your life. And each one of you, you have those little things that you found how to solve. And those are the little things that other people are wondering about. And that's the beauty of a group. So tonight, tips and tricks. What more can we say? But we're here to serve, and we're here to ask you to do the same. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, James.
Thank you, McFinn. We've got two exciting presenters tonight, but before we do that, I am told that we're going to hear a little bit from Randy Fishman, who I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself so we can hear you, and I'm going to let you take it from there.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to join. Just by way of history, my husband passed from ALS about 6 years ago, so I'm very familiar with the process, the disease, and everything everybody's going through. And I've spent time, before he passed and all this time afterwards, being an advocate for ALS in many different ways and helping in a lot of situations. And I'm asking today to see if you'll all be able to just sign a petition that I have created. And in case you're not aware of it, the National Institute of Health has put together a consortium of neurologists and other professionals to develop a strategy for ways to plan research projects for ALS. They already have the funds, and it's just the group of people got together to determine, which types of studies to do. And what was greatly missing from the consortium that put together the strategy program and then what they came up with was there's not one pulmonologist on this committee, and they don't mention anything about any research for pulmonary care for ALS individuals. So I have put together a petition, and Indu is going to put the link up on the site. And I urge you to please go on the site. It's very simple. And here it is with the magic of technology. And you just put in, as you can see, your name, address, and your email. And so far, there's 119 signatures. You can see in the picture. Sorry, that's my husband, Jay. And he had a very atypical form of ALS, and it really affected his respiratory muscles. And he was very, very dependent on external respiratory care for a large portion of his illness and diagnosis. So anyway, this petition, if you could sign it, needs to be submitted by Friday. So actually, because the uploading process is a little slow on this site, if you could sign it, it's all you have to do is sign it. I'm going to give you a little bit of warning because I had this experience with some friends. Once you sign it, there's some pop-up that says, oh, do you want to help this more? And you click on it, and then they ask you to donate money. But don't do that. Don't donate any money, because the money only just goes to the host of the petition. It doesn't go to anything at all for ALS. So don't send in any money. This is just this is a signature raiser, not a fundraiser. So just put in your name. I'd really love to get over 200 names. I need to then submit them to the committee at NIH that has this petition out. And so I need time to upload them and to be able to send them. So I hope you'll do that. And I really appreciate it. And on another note, I have one tip. I know I've shared it with this group before because I've participated in these webinars for a long time. And this is for people who are starting to develop hand weakness. This happened with my husband, and he was still able, he was still eating and we were going out, but he was very uncomfortable because the fork was so heavy. So what we did was we got silver colored plastic silverware. Well, it's not silverware, it's plasticware. But so when we would go to a restaurant, I would have it and just put it, set the table, take the other things away. So when he was eating, it didn't look obvious that he wasn't using the more traditional silverware. And another thing we did was also when cutting became hard for him, we would, when we placed the order, ask the waiter to ask the kitchen to cut the food up prior to bringing the plate to the table. So those are just 2 tips that really worked for us for a period of time. So I hope maybe they help you. And I'll just close by saying again, please, if you feel comfortable to sign the petition, you can have also a family member sign it. And if you know other ALS families or friends that want to support this initiative, that would be super terrific. And again, the purpose of this is to ask this committee that's been formulated to make sure that they use some of the research funds for the respiratory side of ALS and to include pulmonologists. So thanks for letting me speak, and happiest of New Year's to everybody.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you,
Thank you.
so much, Randy. And I think the signatures are going up. We're about 128 now. Keep going, guys, 129 now. And thank you for everything you do. I just want you guys to know Randy and Jay have been big supporters of ALS community. They've done a lot. They've funded a lot of big initiatives and continue to. Randy sits on the board of Answer ALS and other initiatives. So thank you for giving so much. Continue to do this, Randy. So appreciate it.
Ooh, thank you. I'm glad to see the signature going up. Share it to everybody. We're going to continue with our tips and tricks tonight as well. I know we've got 2 presenters tonight. I call him Dr. Hira Ahluwalia, my friend, I can now very proudly say, and Heidi McCann, who I hope is going to be a future friend. And before we launch into them, I'm going to have McFinn introduce our first presenter, which is Dr. Hira Ahluwalia. So McFinn, go ahead.
Folks, Hira put this for a few months. I've been saying, Hira, we're going to have tips and tricks. I'm counting on you. And he says, okay, McFinn. Well, about 2 weeks ago, he sent me a whole presentation. Now, Hira is doing this with eye gaze. He has created what he feels are the tips and tricks that he's learned that he would like to share with you. So, James, can you hit the message?
Good evening, everyone. Although all the research to understand the various mechanisms of nerve degeneration and therefore to slow the progress of ALS is very important, we equally need to take care of PAL's everyday challenges. Today's session, organized by McFinn, will hopefully be useful. James, let's get the show rolling.
And I am going to not have any more further ado. We are going to jump right into Hira's presentation. Hopefully you all can hear it. If you can't, just let me know in the chat.
Good evening.
No, we're not hearing.
Oh, bummer. Okay, let me get back and figure out what's going on then.
Headphones is usually the issue if you're gonna share the videos, James.
And I don't have any headphones in, so
Okay,
now I
see.
get to have technical difficulties.
Hit the play button is what he said, but the audio is not working.
Yeah, we need the audio.
Yeah.
All right.
Go to the video stuff, and I think it says choose.
There it
video.
is.
Okay,
Okay.
do it now.
Let's see if you can hear the audio. Let me back up a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. This is Maggie Ahluwalia, and today we're discussing optimizing quality of life for PALS. What is the definition of quality of life? The progressive nature of ALS makes the definition of quality of life for PALS different from those who don't have a medical condition. For PALS, quality of life criteria is subjective and can be defined any way you want. For example, during the early stages of ALS, being able to talk, eat, and drive might be considered as having a good quality of life. During the later stages of ALS, just being alive and being able to communicate with eye gaze computer may be considered good quality of life. Optimizing quality of life for PALS. There is no point discussing quality of life if you don't have your dedicated care team. The relationship between PALS and caregivers is critical. Teamwork and being flexible is important. Based on our experiences, the goal of this presentation is to share information to make it easier for PALS to optimize their care and to discuss tools and tips for the care team. The 4 topics we're going to briefly discuss are based on the NIH survey. This is just our interpretation. The topics are: keep on moving, keep on communicating, adapting your home for PALS life, activities of daily living. Let me briefly tell you a little about our ALS journey. Hira likes to call ALS FSD for obvious reasons. Hira's progression started slowly in the right leg, then the left leg, wrist, hands, arms, torso, and finally into the diaphragm. In 2014, he had the first signs of the weakness starting in the thigh in the right leg. Progressed for many years. In 2017 was the first hospitalization and the need for non-invasive ventilation. In 2019, Hira did have respiratory failure and was resuscitated and was needing a tracheostomy and a GI feed tube. And here he is in 2022, enjoying life and the World Cup.
The first topic we will discuss is mobility. It needs to be recognized that physical changes that occur during the ALS journey are emotionally and psychologically devastating. During the early stages of the disease, when weakness is limited to one leg, often PALS use canes, hiking sticks, and crutches. The use of these aids is not easy, and any missteps can lead to a fall. And yes, I did fall many times. When weakness starts in the second leg, it is not wise to use these aids. Walkers like the one shown here may be used especially indoors. Difficult to use with leg weakness, not sure if it is helpful. During the later stages of the disease, scooters are a good mobility equipment as long as you have strength in your arms and hands. We don't recommend using insurance to purchase scooters. When all limbs become weak, power wheelchair is the only option. Use insurance for the acquisition of the power wheelchair. Let us discuss scooters a little more. Match the scooter to your needs. There is no point purchasing a scooter that is difficult to maneuver inside your house. The small folding scooter is ideal for indoor use. The larger scooter on the right is from Easy Wheels and actually comes apart. Transfer sliding boards are important for transferring to and from scooters to chairs, bed, and toilet. Hand strength is critical for safety. Good to have someone present. Now let's discuss power wheelchairs, or my super turbocharged vehicle. There are several manufacturers. However, the Permobile power wheelchairs seem to be popular with pals. They are usually partly custom made to ensure body size is considered. If necessary, loaner wheelchair may be available through ALS Association. Thanks to money from the Ice Bucket Challenge. Initiate acquisitions process through ALS Clinic, wheelchair clinics associated with hospital or rehabilitation facilities. Contact National Seating Mobility for locating wheelchair clinics. Important tip, use the Roho Low Profile Cushion. This is an air-filled cushion and reduces pressure on your bottom. During the early years of FSD, you can continue to drive. With right leg weakness, you can install left foot control. With both leg weakness, you can install hands control. We suggest just install hands control. It is important to know when to stop driving. Quit as soon as arm weakness begins. The next challenge is, how do you get into the van when you are in a scooter? A scooter lift can be installed. In addition, a driver's seat lift that moves down to the level of the scooter and up to the driver's seat. The scooter is driven next to the driver's seat, and after the transfer, someone moves the scooter to the back ramp. This shows a handlebar or assist bar. The use is obvious. Eventually, when you start using a power wheelchair, the only way to get around is to have a wheelchair-accessible van. Communication let me down, and I'm left here. Communication let me down, and I'm left here. Optimizing communication. Ability to communicate is critical to the quality of life for PALS. Unfortunately, the progression of ALS often compromises speech. This can be frustrating for PALS and the care team. Technology to the rescue. The solution is the use of eye gaze computer. The eye tracking computer that you are seeing is the Tobii Dynavox i16 model. I encourage you to visit the website to get further information about all the different systems. The Tobii is not a decorative piece for your home. No, no, no. Apparently 80% of PALs who have an eye gaze computer do not use it even if it would improve their quality of life. We need to change this statistic. I got to know bridging voice through everything ALS webinar that Mr. Nate Conleyman presented. Mr. Lehman showed how customization of iGaze computer software enhanced the experience of the user. The enthusiasm and positivity of the presentation was infectious. Next day, I contacted Bridging Voice. I have had 12 consulting sessions with Mr. Lehman, and we have customized my computer to improve accuracy, speed, and ease of usage of applications. My best tip is contact Bridging Voice. The services they provide are free. This will make a huge improvement in your quality of life. It certainly did for me. I wrote the manuscript of my book using Toby, typing with my eyes. Kieran, my son, my hero, will now give you a quick tour of my Toby.
Hello, friends. This is the main page of my dad's Toby. Circled are my dad's most used applications. Here is the screen my dad uses to communicate. My dad left everyone a holiday greeting.
Good evening, friends. I hope you are finding this presentation helpful. Have a great holiday season.
Bridging Voice was able to install a translation button on the Toby. This was the first time anyone used it on a Toby. Italian.
Buonasera amici. Questa presentazione vi sia stata utile. Buone vacanze.
Spanish.
Buenas tardes, amigos. Espero que estés encontrando útil esta presentación. Ten unas grandes vacaciones.
Here's an email to our very own James. Email allows you to communicate with anyone all over the world. This is YouTube on the Toby. Very easy to navigate. I can hear my dad playing comedy at 5 a.m. even.
Not true, Kieran.
Everything ALS website is shown here on Google Chrome. We are currently on the advisory committee page. Here is another page on Toby called Respiratory Needs. Anytime my dad needs any care for breathing, he will pull up the page on Toby and call for help. On Toby, you can even watch Netflix, go on Facebook, listen to music on Spotify, or go on Instagram.
We hope you have been inspired to improve your communication. Take the first step and send an email to any of the organizations shown.
To optimize quality of life, we need to discuss adapting your home. Renovation of your house will inevitably be required. The extent of the renovation depends on your financial situation and need. It is important to plan for the worst but hope for the best. My original man cave is now the center of my life. The room is now my multi-purpose room and serves as my bedroom, entertainment center, office, and ICU. We considered the bathroom renovation the most important to optimize my quality of life. We need converted half bathroom and laundry room into wheelchair accessible bathroom. The renovation was done in 2016 when my arms were functional. We planned for the worst case scenario when designing the bathroom. Some of the features were large opening for easy access. Barn doors are excellent. 0 thresholds separating rooms. Sure hands lifting system. 1 over bed and 1 in bathroom. The photographs are shown next. Now we will briefly discuss activities of daily living. Activities of daily living for pals. Activities of daily living for PALS is related to personal care, but also more importantly, respiratory system care. The various tasks carried out effectively are critical in optimizing quality of life. Clear instructions should be provided to caregivers. Continuously improving the protocol is important. I would like to suggest you consider viewing the presentation by Dr. Terry Hyman Patterson titled Respiratory Consideration in ALS. You will find the video on Everything Else YouTube. When you get a tracheostomy, the daily care becomes intense and important part of the activities of daily living. Anyone with a tracheostomy or considering getting a tracheostomy, please contact me at the email shown. Putting on clothes as FSD progresses becomes increasingly challenging. This presentation discusses adaptive clothes and footwear. Caregivers other than family are critical to the daily care. You cannot optimize your quality of life without activities of daily living. In the morning and evening, a total of 10 hours, my caregivers are busy with care with several hours of intense care. Thank you, Marita and Sophia, for your dedicated care. Living with ALS is challenging, however, optimizing quality of life ensures that every day is a good day. Thank you for the privilege of your time.
Thank you, Hira. And to your wonderful wife, Maggie, and to your amazing son, Kiran. What a family affair. Folks, I'm so proud of what I just saw. Hira, all I can say, keep it up, buddy. And next year, have a couple more hints for us. So folks, to add to that, we have a very special ingredient tonight. It's called Love Made Manifest. It's the story of someone who cared for someone so much that she dedicated her life to him. With that, I just want to say, Heidi McCann, welcome to our show tonight. I am so excited to hear a love story.
Oh, thank you so much, McFinn. And hello, everybody. I went ahead and I'm going to be reading my story, but please put in any questions you have in the chat and I'm happy to answer them afterwards. So I am so happy to be here to talk about my and my first husband's love story that involved ALS. I first met Curtis in the summer of 1990. He was 17, I was 15. He lived in Vermont, I lived in Connecticut in the USA, but my parents had a summer camp a few miles away from him and in his home. When I first met him in July of 1990, I knew that I would marry him. We met in the town's country store, and when he smiled at me, I felt as though I had found where I belonged. We dated that first summer and then on and off for a few years. We lived in different states, saw one another in the summer, and were mainly good friends, although I would be lying if I didn't admit that he broke my heart more than once over those years. In 1995, during my junior year of college, he asked me to be his date to a wedding, and from that night forward, we dated exclusively. In 1997, after I graduated from college, we moved in together. He was 24, I was 22. We were still trying to figure out who we were and who we wanted to be. What we did know was that we wanted to be with one another. A year after living together, Curtis started to experience strange symptoms. He was exhausted. He worked construction part-time and had trouble stepping up a step while carrying a concrete form. A month later, he had trouble rising from a chair unassisted, and he couldn't lift a gallon of milk. The journey to being diagnosed was very difficult. We went to 3 different hospitals where he had test after test after test. At the same time, we discovered that his grandmother and great aunt had each died in their 40s of respiratory distress. His grandmother could still walk when she passed away in 1962, and his great aunt could still eat and use her arms when she passed away in 1969. When we discovered that he had 2 family members who had died at a young age, I returned to the internet to read about a disease I had discovered while I surfed it night after night after night when I couldn't sleep because I was worried about Curtis. I recall that there was a genetic form of his, what we thought at that time could be ALS. As I read about ALS more on the internet, I was certain that he had it and that his grandmother and great aunt had also had it. And this belief was all but confirmed during our first visit to the ALS doctors at Massachusetts General Hospital. And they had information about his ancestors. His great-great-great-grandfather, Samuel Farr, had died of what they labeled Farr's disease back in 1865. And comparing Massachusetts General Hospital's information with Curtis's family genealogy, we discovered that about 50% of every generation of Curtis's family on his mother's side had passed away from a creeping paralysis, which is what they called it back then. And then they eventually called it Farr's disease before it was labeled ALS. So in December of that year, 1998, we received the definitive news that his genetic test was positive. He had the familial form of ALS. He had the A4V mutated SOD1 on his chromosome 21. This particular type of ALS was very progressive. We had learned that his grandmother and great aunt had passed away within 10 months of their initial symptoms, and we were already at month 4. Even though Curtis was living with this debilitating, tragic disease, the year that we lived with ALS was beautiful. I left my job, moved our lives out of our apartment in central Vermont to a home in Danville, Vermont, and I became his full-time caretaker. We corralled our small community of Danville, where he was born and raised, as well as the surrounding communities of West Danville, North Danville, and St. Johnsbury, and we asked for our community's help. We held healing circles in our home where we asked that those who loved us envision sending positive energy to Curtis's body. We welcomed everyone into our home to sit, talk, and visit with us. We went out into our community as often as we could. We learned how to live while we prepared to die. As Curtis's body deteriorated, his soul flourished. He became a symbol of hope to all who knew him. We created a circle of life, of love, of hope, of healing. He was officially diagnosed at the age of 25, and his body failed him 1 year and 1 day after diagnosis. He was 26, and it was on December 19th, 1999. I was 24 years old. We married 22 days before he died. 500 people attended our ceremony where we vowed that our souls would be united for all eternity. His soul was able to transition to its new existence while he was in our home, just as he wished to do, and his passing was one of the most beautiful events I have ever witnessed. Curtis had 3 final Christmas wishes. The first was that someday there would be a cure for ALS. We're not there yet. He feared the day that someone else in his family would experience ALS, and that has happened. He has lost an uncle and 2 aunts and his mother's cousin since then. His second wish was that those who knew and loved him would never forget him. And his third was that I would write a book about our journey before and during ALS. At the time, we had looked for books and information. This was before the internet and all of that, so it was really hard to find anything like that. So it took me 22 years, but I finally published our book. It's called Whatever the Future Holds. I wrote the book for Curtis. I wrote it for me. I wrote the book for anyone who has ever loved deeply or experienced loss. I wrote this book to bring more attention to ALS. The book encompasses our young love and our journey with ALS, how we learned to live life to the fullest. It also honestly speaks to the horrific nature of the disease and the day-to-day realities of caring for someone with ALS. And the last part of the book speaks to my journey as Curtis's widow after he transitioned from life as we knew it to a new form. It speaks to the hardship and process of grief, and it illustrates my desire to continue to want to exist with Curtis's soul instead of re-entering a world without him in it. Curtis loved life. He was larger than life. And slowly, as time went on, as it always does, I relearned how to love life without Curtis physically by my side. It was a difficult journey. I was lucky enough to be loved by him for so many years in my young life and to meet another love. 4 years after Curtis passed, I remarried. Paul and I recently celebrated our 19th anniversary, and we have 4 children, aged 17 through 9, and we have 2 wonderful dogs too. Each day I am grateful for having loved Curtis, and each day I hope for a cure for ALS. I am so grateful that those that are living with ALS today can be a part of everything ALS and all the other ALS communities. Curtis and I didn't meet or know anybody else with ALS during the year that he lived with it. The internet had just become into being in the late 1990s, and there weren't any virtual communities. There weren't any smartphones. In fact, the only cell phones that existed were the kind in a bag that you would carry in your car. We lived in a rural area, and it wasn't practical for us to travel to ALS groups. So I'm just so happy that you all have each other. I am grateful to share our story with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. That, to me, folks, love is at the center of all of these activities that we're taking on. It's because we care not only for our loved ones, but that's why we've come together to have tips and tricks. It's because all of us have a longing to be of service. And that service, we have found our people. And with that, we are joining them hand in hand to find out, what is your problem? How can we help you? This is a devastating disease, but it does not have to be that devastating when you feel that you're supported. Like Heidi just said, back then there were not so many support groups. That's why this group is so important, and each one of you are so important. So let's continue on, because I know that there's a lot of tips and there's a lot of tricks out here tonight. So I'm looking for the next tip. Who might it be?
Before we do that, I'm gonna stop the recording session, I believe, on this part. Is that correct, Indu?
No, actually, we'll continue to do it.
All right, we're gonna continue. So I'm gonna let everybody have the ability to unmute themselves. So just give me 1 second.
And I'm gonna, as you guys are coming up, I will talk about what Randy mentioned, because some of you were new here. Please consider signing the petition that I just put on the chat. And this is to include pulmonology as one of the primary goals in the NIH goals that they've submitted. And this is a signature raiser, not a fundraiser. So please do not donate, even if you get a pop-up. And please consider signing, because our goal is to have 200 signatures by tomorrow. So I think we're about 140. So thank you. And thank you, Heidi, for an amazing story. Really appreciate you coming on.
Okay, folks, let's see. Terry, hello, dear.
Hi, McFinn. I was having trouble with pressure sores because I sit a good part of the day. I found a seat cushion that has taken away all my sores. It's called a fur seat cushion, and it's mainly for cars, but I bought it and it's wonderful. Amazon has it for just under $18, which is very affordable. I have the big roho or whatever it's called, but it didn't work as well for me. This one is so comfortable. Every time I sit down, I just rake it with my fingers, and it's so comfortable. I highly recommend it.
Thank you, dear. Those are the things that make a big difference, because sitting around is a common activity. So thank you, Terry. And I want to say to everybody, there is a reaction button down at the bottom of your screen. And if you tap on that, it'll show you how you can raise your hand, and that will put you right in line. So thank you all. And Patricia, you're next.
Hi, my tip is that magnesium can often reduce muscle cramping and fasciculations. Most PALs are deficient in magnesium. And we've had people have a lot of try a lot of kinds of magnesium. Remag by Dr. Carolyn Dean seems to be very absorbable. So when other kinds of magnesium fail, that one seems to work. And then I'm also like putting it, the rest of them, malate, citrate, taurate, AEP, glycinate, threonate, and magnesium chloride are all good kinds. And I think you just want to avoid the oxide, and I'll put that in the chat so everybody can read it. And there's one other one. So, but magnesium deficiency is a huge deal with PALs. And we find when they take enough magnesium, those fasciculations die down, and mostly the cramping dies down, because that's the most painful.
Thank you so very much. Dr. David, good evening.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. So this is what I observed as my mother was declining with ALS. The best thing I have seen was my sister, who gave up her job to be with my mother every day. And she took her to her, all of her appointments. And there's actually a very funny story from one of her appointments where the speech pathologist said to my mother, as this goes along, you may have trouble swallowing. And my mother, without missing a beat, said, "Don't be silly. Jewish girls don't swallow." Anyway, so my sister used to show up, in the morning, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, and my mother would greet her completely naked at the front door, and just to surprise her, And so my mother maintained her sense of humor all the way through, and just was quite an amazing person, very generous and very very much a people person. And I would say that having a daughter that is willing to give up everything to take care of you is maybe the best investment you can make.
Thank you, David. I need to ask you a personal question, my friend.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have ALS?
I have the gene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any other members in your family?
Well, I lost my uncle
Ah,
about 13 years ago, and my mother about 2 years ago.
okay.
Yeah, and then my grandmother had a couple of cousins who also passed away from ALS.
Okay. Sorry to hear that, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing your mother to our show.
Yeah,
because-
she was quite the person. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
James, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening. As if you didn't hear enough from me this evening, I just want to give one tip and trick from kind of the other side of things. There are people in your life who may not fully understand what ALS is and even the complexity of the disease. And when you are living with it, there may be days where you just don't have the energy to explain or answer the questions, which is completely fine. And what I have found from just being here with everybody over the last 2 years and getting to know everyone on a more personal level, when we have people like Heidi and Hira, who is gracious enough to send me his book, those books allow us who may not be able to understand personally, it gives us a front row seat to help understand what the changes are and what the new life may be. So I just want to say from the other side of the aisle, those types of readings are extremely important. And thank you very much for those of you who have introduced them and written them. They are extremely helpful.
Folks, each one of us has more inside than we realize. It's when we have problems like ALS that we really put our heart and soul into our day-to-day solutions. I know that there's not a cure for ALS, but somebody told me, wrote me a little letter, and they said, I'm looking for solutions to the day. I'm not looking for the cure. When he wrote that to me, I thought, what a smart person to be looking for the solutions for the day. Each one of us come across, in our daily life, there are numerous things that are really personal and we need to have taken care of every day. When we find, like Dr. David said, someone who's going to help you, who has an open heart and is caring for you more than maybe they're caring for themselves. Those are the kind of people that are rare, but they are around. Always be available for help. It's something that some of us think that, it's too much to ask. Please don't ever feel that way, because it's never too much to ask when you need help. Terry, come back on, dear.
Yes, thank you. Last week, after the presentation, a gentleman gave us a link for a pill filler. Does anyone still have that link?
I want to ask Indu. Indu, do you think that Terry's talking about Prime C?
Prime C, or I know last week I believe was the Himalaya trial. Was that what our last one?
Okay, right. Any idea further about last week?
It was after the recording stopped.
I don't have the answer for you, Terry, at this moment, but I will have the answer for you after I do my homework.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for bringing up the question, because folks, there's no question that's too small to ask. Everybody, these little questions are very personal. and we are very personal with you. So please, if you used to be shy, I'm glad you're not shy any longer. Show me.
The reason I asked McFinn is because some of my pills are now too big to swallow. So I need to get smaller capsules.
Terry, Cheryl just posted in the chat, and I think she's correct, and I just posted the link I have. Are you talking about the capsule machine that would put it in there?
Yes.
Okay, so Cheryl posted an Amazon link to that, and then I posted the one that he provided us as well in the chat. So you got two now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Cheryl? If not, that was amazing. Folks, people pay attention to these shows, so don't be afraid to ask, what happened 3 weeks ago? Can anybody help me with that? Janie, okay, Linda Dyken, take yourself off of mute, dear, if you can.
Okay, I bet you can hear me now.
Yes, perfectly.
I have the lung problem where I can get oxygen in, but I can't get the bad air out. And so the cough assist machine helps me a lot. I'm on that 4 times a day and it sucks out the phlegm and helps you so I'm not choking on that. So if any of you have that, the Hillrom cough assist machine works fantastic for me.
Thank you, Linda. That, folks, there's a lot of experience here. We need to tap into it.
Hello.
Hello, Cheryl.
Hi, yes, I'm sorry. My link is not for the capsule. It's for, I wanted to share something that works for me. It's actually for knee braces for anyone who is still able to move their upper body well, but has lots of trouble moving their legs. I found that the knee braces are so much easier to use than the actual leg lifts that they sell on Amazon, because the leg lifts fall down all the time. But if you use the knee braces, specifically similar to the ones that I put in the link, it's easier to move your legs around better with those. And I find that where I used to not be able to get myself out of bed or turn in bed, that now I could even turn a little bit better in bed using those knee braces, because I can just grab it from the hole that it has and move my legs around. So if anyone wants to try that one, I feel that there's a very useful trick for me because I'm still able to move my legs with it. And additionally, I just wanted to say that the magnesium glycate is excellent, except if you're taking the Relivrio, like I will be starting tomorrow, you have to be careful. You can't take it within 6 hours of the Relivrio. So you have to find a schedule that works for you. And once you start taking the Relivrio twice, it's going to be a little difficult to take the magnesium, because you have to make sure it's 6 hours before or 6 hours after. But happy holiday to everybody.
Cheryl, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Your experience is priceless. Jack Wilson, a fine evening to you, Jack.
Hi, good to be here.
Thank you.
I thought I would just share this pillow. I do have a neck pillow and I was always losing it. And this one like bends to you and it's pretty long. So for me, I can still pick it up off the floor if it does happen to hit the floor. But anyway, just one of those little things that makes it a little easier.
Thank you, Jack. You know, a little easier is really cool. Thank you, sir.
You know, I might add that I think really the idea of accepting where you're at, and then it's all about adapt and not really put too much focus on what tomorrow might bring. I've been living with ALS. I was diagnosed in March of 2011, and yeah, I still get around pretty well. I can transfer. I drive a van with hand controls. So it's kind of like there's equipment out there, embrace it, use it. Just helps with the quality of life big time.
Yeah, right, Jack. I like that pillow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. David.
Yeah, I've got another one. It's a fellow that I met who created sort of a human exoskeleton that reads just small twitches and can actually walk for you.
Oh, beautiful.
His name is Nori Minasili, and the company is called Minco. And yeah, just small twitches can activate this exoskeleton device. And people who have been paralyzed have actually learned to walk again with it.
Oh.
So that might be something worth looking into. I've seen it work. I've actually tried it on. It's actually quite amazing. And yeah, there may be some assistive technology there that could be beneficial for ALS.
Beautiful. Can you spell the name of that again?
Yeah, so the company is called Minco, M-I-N-C-O. And looks like he's located in London, Ontario now.
All right.
Yeah, so his name is spelled Nori, N-O-R-I, and his last name is M-I-N-I-C-I-L-L-I.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think it might be something useful.
Yeah, I believe it can be. Whoa, Janie, did you disappear?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
So I know someone had mentioned with the magnesium with the Relivrio. My ALS doctor actually recommended doing tonic water, like drinking it. 2 to 4 cans a day keeps you hydrated. It really helps with my cramping and the fasciculations.
Yeah.
Because if I don't drink that tonic water, I notice within like a day and a half, I'm starting to have really bad cramps. So I highly recommend it, the tonic water.
Yeah.
Tastes terrible, but you can add some flavoring.
The active ingredient is quinine.
Yes, exactly.
Which reduces muscle cramps.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I agree. I think it was Jack, how you said, making adaptations. And that's how I view ALS, that, each day I come to different difficulty, but I find a new way to adapt each and every day. And my husband helps me figure out, like the other day, I couldn't lift my leg up into the van. So, we figured out, well, let's make a modification. Let's put a little step stool that's portable with a rope, pull it up, so that I was able to get in and out of the van. I can do it now, for some time, but again, it's all about making adaptations and not being, dwelling on what you've lost. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All those little things mean a lot, dear. Johnny?
Hello, everyone. I've been clean and sober for 30 years in February. And one of the things that they work with in AA, that I've been a member of, is a thing about acceptance. It is the answer to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some fact of my life unacceptable to me. It could be person, places, or things. And until I accept that person, the place, or the thing, or that situation as being exactly the way it is, so it's supposed to be at this very moment in my life, nothing and absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. Acceptance is a big part of this. I go to a lot of forums, and under the name I'm Johnny 5, I've been trying to stick with that. And I run into a lot of people that are under, suspicion of ALS, a lot of younger people, a lot of older people that don't know a lot about it. And after 7 years, I've learned a lot about ALS, more than probably a lot of people have, I've forgotten a lot too. But in the reality, getting out there and helping people that is new into this situation, because they get really afraid. A lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. Visit the forums, because the feeling you get for helping people, you can't compare it with anything. It's just a great feeling, and it makes your day every time I've done it. And all the time I get people messaging me, and I talk to them for months on end and make friends with these guys, because they reached out for help and they can't find any. Their doctors, they don't want to talk to them because they think that's all in their head. And you can help some people and that don't have ALS. You help people that do have ALS, and it's always a good thing. But another thing that I wanted to talk about was the magnesium thing. I was getting cramps real bad. It was going up my paraspinal muscles, even when I was laying down, and in my legs and feet when I'm up and walking and standing. Magnesium really helped. It took about 60% of the pain away. The cramping kept going on, and I had one of my doctors, they gave me baclofen. Okay, and with the baclofen and the magnesium, the severe cramping and all of that is pretty much gone. I know when I miss pills because my feet start going and it hurts, and then I say, oh, I better go take my pills. It's my little alarm clock, because I tend to forget things a lot. And then another thing you all would probably like to remember, I'll put a link in here, a poem written in 1927 called Desiderata by a guy named Max something. It's about, all about what we're doing, having to accept the world as it is and dealing with our things, and everything, I think, is the way it's supposed to be. But when the last paragraph is, and whether it's not clear to you, no doubt the universe is folding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, however you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham and drudgery and broken dreams, is still a beautiful world. So be cheerful, strive to be happy. Max Ehrmann, is copyright 1927. But read that every now and then. It'll give you a little uplift through the days. Okay, so thanks.
Thank you, Johnny. Those, inspiration is bigger than the words that you read. It's the feeling that you get from those words. Terry, thank you so much for contributing so much this evening.
Oh, thank you. I just want to add to what Jack said. My neck pillow has a snap in front, so you never lose it. I also want to add to what someone in the chat said about the Roho seat cushion being very expensive. If you have a permobile a chair, and I don't know if you're not on Medicare. My Medicare paid for the cushion for my chair, but I used it other places as well as my chair. So I'm just adding that.
Thank you, dear. Comfort is, number one. So, and getting no sores is number one too. Steve Jacobs. Good evening, Steve. You take yourself off mute, sir? There, you got it?
Hello, I just wanted to check in and say hi. I just got here. I was sorry I was late and missed all the good stuff. I've only been able to visit about the last 2 months here. And I just wanted to say that I'm going to be missing for the next 7 weeks there. And but it's all a good thing because we're taking a very, very, very long cruise out of Miami down to South America and Antarctica. There 51 days. Got my neurologist to approve it. He says if you're going to travel, it's a great way of doing it because they've got a doctor there if anything happens. So just trying to get everything packed and get ready is logistically there. Fortunately, I'm fairly new to this whole thing and still pretty much mobile there. And obviously I can still talk and eat and drink there, and I think we're home for 4 days before my next clinic visit with at Mayo Clinic. So it should be interesting and there's and we will post pictures to all the people who want to see there and keep up with it. And that's all I had to say. So yeah, I'll have to get caught back up with this via YouTube there instead of watching everything live for the next 7 weeks. So.
All right, Steve, we'll miss you. It's, we get connected there. Each one of these squares has a beautiful soul in it. And the more we see you, the more we know you, the more we want to know you, and the more we want to help you. This is a sticky situation, folks, and we're sticking to you. It's amazing what each of us brings to the program. Nobody else could bring what you're bringing because it's your personal experience, and therefore you know that it works or it doesn't.
Steve, take a good mask. My daughter took a cruise 2 weeks ago and came home with COVID.
So Terry, you're telling us that we need to wear our masks.
Yes.
Okay, folks, I just went on a little vacation. I went to the airport. I saw 5,000 people and I saw 3 masks. So the world is really not taking this seriously. And when I came home from my vacation, I had to take a COVID test before I could interact with my family, just to make sure that everything was good. And I did not have COVID. So, but it's really being responsible for yourself and for your loved ones. And none of you need COVID. That is, so please don't take it lightly. And I'll be real grateful. Chris, come aboard.
Hi. So speaking of COVID, I just want to hear from everyone if anyone got the new booster and if they had any issues with it.
I got it, Chris. I got it 2 weeks ago. I felt my arm was a little warm for about 10 seconds, and that was it. It went away. I had no further effects. Anyone
Okay.
here have any effects? There? No?
No.
Okay.
I got it.
Good.
I barely felt it.
Okay. Thank you. I mean, I got the first two. I'm due for the booster, but I know they have that new variant in there. So I was a little concerned since, you know, I have this condition. You know, I was nervous the first 2 times as well because I guess your fear is always to get worse from something triggering it, you know, to make it worse. But the first 2 didn't have an effect at all, except, you know, the sore arm looked normal, but wasn't sure with the new variant that's in there, if anyone would have an issue. So I appreciate everybody sharing.
Yeah.
Also, if I could continue with the questions, if possible.
Please.
My other question is, I know I get twitching everywhere. I have muscle loss, you know, the indentations, the skin hanging, and all of that. The twitching, I was told by one doctor, I'm not sure if it's true or if anyone else heard, it's just the actual muscle cells dying. Is that what that is? Can anyone share anything about that?
Dr. David?
Well, according to Richard Bedlock, there is no relation to any degeneration with fasciculations.
Really?
Yeah.
So for people that take magnesium and the supplements that help with twitching and cramps, do you think that has an effect on progression?
That's something we need to learn more about, because, you know, we know that certainly vigorous exercise is not something that's highly recommended.
I know anytime I push myself.
Right. So muscle relaxation may be something that preserves those junctions longer. It's possible. It's hard to know. It's going to have to be studied.
Right. And the Relivio that just got recently approved, it's meant to stop progression, not to regain any kind of functionality, right?
Dr. David?
It appears to be the case that that's what's
so it stops for
what it's about. Yeah, the butyrate seems to have some preservative effects on neuromuscular junctions.
Yes, I just find the more I use it, the more I lose it. In my case, at least, I seem to, anytime I push myself, I lose that issue. You know, I lose the area of control. So recently, I'm having breathing issues, specifically after I eat. I'm able to eat and swallow, although I can't eat things like bagels or pizza.
Right.
I can eat soft foods.
Yeah. Smaller meals maybe might be helpful, because you might be just getting a little full.
Yeah, I feel bloated, full.
Yeah. So smaller meals might, you know, more frequent and smaller meals might be the way to go there.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. There was something new that I was hearing about called the wand, the IteraCare wand. Does anyone have any idea about that?
Teresa does. Teresa, do you get a thumbs up to that? Okay, you got one thumbs up. Chris?
Okay.
Anybody else using that wand? I'm not sure exactly what it, okay, so Sean gives a thumbs up to it, so you have 2 there. This is why we need everybody to come, because everybody is working on a different angle.
Right.
And yeah. Your questions are awesome, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry, there's a lot of them.
No, the more the merrier, because the more questions you ask, the more answers we get to everybody.
Is it possible that anyone who's interested can share their contact information also? So I know there was someone, Johnny 5, that was here that said that he appreciates speaking to people that might need some additional support or help. or anyone that's interested can put their like email maybe, or I mean, I love the meetings and I will still continue to come. It's just, sometimes like I'll forget a question, or for people that are using, there was someone here who was using the cough assist. That's
Right.
the one thing that I am consulting with the pulmonologist now. I feel like my pulse ox levels are okay. I just don't understand why the breathing seems to be an issue. I'm not sure if, like she said, she inhales and then the exhale is the issue for her. So that could be possible with what's going on with me. I'm just not sure. To share these kind of things is very helpful to me.
Okay. I
Yes,
just
we
want
got some emails on the chat, so
Okay, thank you.
yeah, just look at
Teresa
Oh,
has,
thank you.
Teresa has her
I see, thank you.
wand there.
Yes, she was very helpful with the cough assist that she has. And there's another cough assist machine called the Hayek. It's like a vest you wear. Is anyone using that? It's a vest that it's the Hayek, it's by Hayek Medical. So it's Hayek Medical. I don't know if anyone on here is using that. I'm not sure if they're gonna approve. Sorry, I'm gonna have to catch my breath. I'm not sure if they're gonna approve the cough assist machine. I'm sorry, the Hayek. I don't know if anyone has any experience with approvals or usage.
Anyone like to speak to that? Yes, Linda.
Oh, good. My screen has gotten so little, I can't hardly see anybody anymore. I'm the one that uses the cough assist machine, and it's wonderful. And that's the Hillrom. And up until I started using it, my phlegm would go down into my lungs and I can't get it out. And I'd be choking, and my husband would have to hit me, 4 or 5 times a day to get it up. And once he would hit me in the back, it would come up and then I could breathe again. And with the cough assist machine, using it 4 times a day, he only probably once a week now has to hit me on the back to get it up. And I'm assuming that's what her vest would do that she was talking about.
It's by Hayek, Hayek. I don't know. It looks like it pushes your lungs in and out forcefully. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's covered by insurance though. So that's something that
The cough assist machine does suck
It
it
is.
in, and that
It
was
does.
$6,000, but they paid for 80%. I just had to pay for 20% of it. But and
Wow.
then they break it down. It's just once a month they pay $105. That's my portion that I pay, but it's worth it. It really works good.
You were allowed to make monthly payments on the.
Yeah, for my 20%.
Oh, that's great.
And then after 13 months, if I'm still around, still using it, then I would own it.
Oh.
Yes, for those.
And is it a mask that you wear? Is it a?
Well, it's a machine that you hook, and it is a mask that you have to hold onto your face, and then it sucks the air out and it compresses your lung. It fills it up and then sucks it out. Oh, and then you cough. While it's sucking it out, you have to cough.
Okay.
And when you're
Okay.
coughing, like I'll get a mouthful of phlegm. It really works to get the
Wow.
phlegm. And my oxygen levels last time when I was at Mayo now on November 22nd, they did the test, and 4 times during 8 hours, mine dropped down to the low 60s.
On the
for
pulse ox.
Oxygen level. And so they're talking now about putting me on a BiPAP machine. That would
Okay.
not a CPAP, but a BiPAP.
Do they measure your oxygen levels by something on your finger?
Yes, it was at nighttime. They do it for 8 hours while you're sleeping.
Oh, I
And
see.
how I can tell, and the only symptom I have that is happening is I wake up with a headache on the times if I have it like that. I did happen that when I had the 4 episodes where it dropped down to the low 60s, I did wake up with a headache, and it goes away after you get up. And they asked me, they said, do you have any symptoms? I said, well, I have a headache. And they go, that's exactly what it's from, the lack when the oxygen drops that low. And
Yeah,
then
it wakes me up. It wakes me up and I gasp for air at night, and then
I don't wake up.
I have vivid dreams like that I've never had before. And then it's also anxiety because, you know, not being able to breathe, it's stressful because, you know, I'm just like, it's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing.
Yeah.
I
was
but
at
thank you all.
I was at
I
an
really,
ALS clinic today, and the guy that does the breathing test, he was telling me about the cough assist, that vest, and it's like, I didn't really want to do the demo of it, but he was saying that actually it's battery operated, so you don't have to be plugging into a wall, and I think it works where it compresses, moves on your chest. It's not the one that you plug in where there's one that like really jars your chest, but you like plug into a wall with that one. And then the one I've used here at home is the one that, you actually just put the thing over your, like your mask. I'm not really sure what the advantages are supposed to be with that, but when you're at clinic, and probably everybody knows this, they're measuring your force vital capacity, which really has to do with the muscle structures around your rib cage and stuff that helps support breathing.
right.
Then you have NIF. The NIF is really more about your diaphragm. And
What do those? I'm not familiar with those tests because I haven't had any breathing issues up until now, and my next appointment is after Christmas. But I never. They did an ultrasound on my diaphragm.
You go to
they did the
ALS
breathing
clinic?
test. No, I just see separate doctors: the neurologist, the pulmonologist. I mean, I'm in New York. I do have one in Columbia. It's just the logistics of getting there to Manhattan. I'm in the boroughs is a total nightmare to get down there and all that. But I mean, I was there once before. I had family drive me. It was pretty early on though, when I was just, losing the walking, installing stair lifts, and when I couldn't drive anymore, like at that time. So it wasn't, the breathing is really, frightening me with this. So they did like have me blow out into a machine to see how much I could blow out. I don't know if that's the FVC test you're talking about, where you blow into this tube and they measure, like there's like a wave chart and they measure how much you could blow out.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the FVC one. Yeah, that one I didn't do too great on then. So now I haven't been back. I do have to go back, but I don't know about the diaphragm one. That would be, what is that called? EV something you said?
NIF.
NEF, and is it like NEF?
I'm not exactly sure. NIF.
Okay, it's called
Yeah,
NIF. Okay.
I'm not sure what it stands for, but it has to do with diaphragm, and it's one where you actually just suck in.
So
feel
that's
like
just
you're not really doing anything. You just showing how much power you have with the diaphragm sucking in.
I see. And is that just another tube they measure you by, or is it a ultrasound?
Any ALS clinic, they would all do that, or you could go to a respiratory therapist. What do they call them today? Inhalation therapist?
Pulmonology, I guess I'm seeing. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing on the 27th, but I'm trying to hold on and do Christmas with the family and act like nothing's wrong, to be honest, but not doing too good. But I have a child, a small child, so I'm trying to, smile and, carry on the holidays just without making her nervous about anything. But so I will find that out. But I thank you so much, everyone, for the test I'm going to ask about. I don't know about the ALS clinic thing. I am waiting for Synapticure to talk to me. Is anyone Synapticure is supposed to link you up to, I guess, ALS doctors in your area, and they're supposed to help. I'm having trouble. I did try to put my email and get a date, but they haven't returned an email yet. But that I'll be doing soon. And they have ALS clinics as well. I will have to try to go to Manhattan at some point, since that is the local ALS clinic in my area. I'm just gonna have to figure out the logistics of getting there.
Thank you,
Because,
Chris.
yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
I really
what-
appreciate the sharing and the, the sharing of tools you use and things. Because this is, I know when the gentleman was talking about acceptance, and it seems like just when I accept one thing, going, something new pops up. So it's not easy at all for me.
No. Well, thank you for being so considerate about your child, Chris. I mean,
Yes,
that's a tough one, but season's greetings to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here
Everyone
tonight.
as well. Thank you.
Okay. PM 13, where did you go to, dear? Hi. Did you? Would you like to share something with us? Oh, you just put yourself on mute. There you got
I
it.
was already unmuted. No,
Okay.
I was just gonna talk to her about that vest. According to the ALS clinic my husband goes to, they recommended the cough assist over the vest. They felt it worked better. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did they say how much it cost, the vest, by any chance?
Well, my husband's at a VA clinic, so it luckily didn't cost us anything, but I'm not sure. There are other people on here that might know, though, because there's another lady that's on the cough assist.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Johnny. Hello.
Okay, the cough assist and the vest, they're designed for different things. The cough assist needs you to actually try and to cough, and what muscles that you have left, it keeps them active, and the more longer they stay active, the longer your breathing is possible.
Wow.
The vest is designed for more of the end stage, when people have a vent and trach that they can't cough, and the vest actually forces air out of them at a rapid pace to help to clear their lungs and bronchioles. Okay, so there's two different reasons they have them. Stephen Hawkins was on a vest almost all the time before he left us, and that was his only ability. He had no ability to breathe, and that's where the design is for people that don't have the diaphragm at all, and you can't take a deep breath, and you can't get enough air inside to push it out, and that's why they have the vest. So there's two reasons behind this that is good for everybody. The next thing that I had listed on these EMGs and fasciculations, I've made a post. I'll post the link again. It has a ton of information about EMGs, and they also talk about what the fasciculations are, how they work, and why they exist. And from my understanding, it was there's a short in the one of the 85 million motor neurons from your brain to the muscle. And once that connection's gone, you're not communicating brain to muscle, and the muscle starts twitching, saying, "Hey, where's the signal? I'm still moving. Tell me to stop," or vice versa. So you get the neurons in the nearby muscle starts to sprout and grow into the denervated muscles, and that helps to pick it up. But you're still losing some muscle, and as those muscles atrophies, you're going to see the twitching and the cramping and stuff like that. The muscle doesn't know when to stop or go, and it's just lost. Another thing, back to in the breathing stuff, it's always important for us to take deep breaths and go through an exercise period a couple times a day, because the muscles are weakening, we don't put a lot of the air down in the bottom of our lungs, and they kind of like get filled up, and they don't get used right. So you take deep breaths, exercise like 5 deep breaths twice a day, and it opens up all the little air pouches in the bottom of your lung, so you can keep them clear and functional. And that really helps also to keep your muscles going. O2 sensors that you put on your finger, they're $20 at Amazon. Okay, you can monitor your oxygen levels anytime you want, day or night. Yeah, I do that. I keep it by my bed because when I'm sleeping, that's when my oxygen levels drop down into the 70s and 80s now. So I look at it and I'm wondering what's going on, and boom, put it on there, and I sit up and I start taking good breaths and get it back up. So that's
so
just
uncomfortable.
little information.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yes, it is. It is. And you get it's like the alarm's going off. I know I need to check that or my blood sugar.
Yeah.
So it makes me keep paying attention. But there's a lot of information. Information helps you overcome fear. I can't stress that anymore. The unknown causes fear. And when we educate ourselves about what this ALS stuff is, that fear is going to go away because we know what's happening. We know what we need to do. We get panic attacks and stuff like that. And you lose it. You don't know what to do. So when you start getting into what ALS is, how it works, Google's your best friend. I mean, I've got probably hundreds of links to websites about information and stuff that I've already forgot that I can go back and find again because I just don't, my computer doesn't work like it used to, but I've got a very great memory. So that helps me a lot. But some of these were some of the things that were covered in the last few, and I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay. So
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm going to include my email just in case anybody has anything they can send me.
Okay, I'll put my email in again, okay?
Cheryl, come back.
Hi, Chris. I just put a phone number and a link for Synaptic here because I've been going through them and they were pretty good, especially you want to be set up with a local ALS clinic because you do need to go in occasionally. But I found that the Synaptic here is very good because they will not only work alongside of your regular ALS clinic, but they will assist you in getting doctors that you can visit via the internet. And you don't have to necessarily go in unless you need to go in. They hooked me up with services really quickly. The voice service, so I could get my voice down before I lose it totally. They've hooked me up with that. And they've hooked me up with, I forget the other agency that's trying to get me some devices for my chair. So they were pretty good. They worked fast for me. I contacted them the very next day after they gave the presentation here on everything ALS. And I've been in contact with them ever since. So give them another try. The phone number is there in the link.
Thank you. I'm going to look right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I filled out the email form, but they haven't gotten back to me. So the phone number will be helpful.
Give them a call. Sometimes a call is better.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
Chris, you have your hand up. Come aboard. Chris, I don't see your picture, but I see your hand up there. CHRIS.
No, it's Chris Curtin.
Good evening.
Hi, McFinn. I wanted to reach out to Chris because I'm in New York and I work for I work for CCALS and I'm very connected to the Columbia Clinic.
Oh, great.
So I put my name and my phone number and my email in the chat. So please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you. Let me see where that is.
Where do you live in New York?
Chris, where are you? Whoops. I'm in Queens in Ozone Park.
Okay, I'm in Westchester, so I'm
I'm
not
in
that
Queensboro. The borough.
Yeah, yeah. So we should talk. We should. We
YC
should.
720.
Yeah, we should talk offline.
How do you like that, folks?
Thank you. I will. Love it.
You never know what kind of reply you're going to get. So please don't be shy. Put out your quest and see if somebody can solve it for you. Is there anybody else? Hello out there. Well, Terry is back.
Yes, I'm just a fountain of information. I want to let everyone know if you have PBA, which is pseudo-bulbar affect, which means you laugh and cry uncontrollably. There is a medication for that, which I have found has a good side effect. The medication is called Nudexta, NEUDEXTA, and the side effect I have found is that it has helped my speech. I was losing all speech, and now I am understandable again.
Thank you, Terry. It's the little gems, folks, that inspire us, that things can get better no matter how bad they are. There is always what they say, tomorrow. Hey, anybody else like to contribute a little something? Okay, well, I think I will. Oh, can you see my screen? It says,
yes,
we have a purpose. Okay, folks, no matter what state you're in, you have a purpose. And the people around you, you can see that you have some answers that other people need. So being shy is okay, but just remember, well, ill, doesn't make any difference. You have a soul inside of you that wants to help other people. So bring it out when you can, because we are more than we seem. What were we taught as little children? We weren't taught the greatness of the big, great mystery that we're all a part of. There's so much more going on than any of us have any idea. And that's why produce a smile as often as you can. That will show you that we are more than we seem. Those smiles are so effective. And remember that your thoughts are powerful. They can lift you up. They can bring you down. They can lift another person up because you're very thoughtful of them. You see these two little hearts? Those little hearts mean so much to me because they're connected, and that's what we are. We are hearts connected, or we wouldn't be here. So I just wanted to let you know that you mean so much to me as my extended family, and I am your extended family. So I'm just so glad that heart to heart, we're in it together.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's amazing who we all are, and we discover it as we go along in our lives. We don't get all the answers as a young person, but on the trail of life, we discover it's an education out there. And this education about with ALS, each one of you are a professor because you know your situation so well. I just want to thank every one of you for being here tonight. Paul Fleck. Paul, I've seen you agreeing, nodding your head tonight, and I just want to say, folks, you know you're in the right place when you see that you're surrounded by all these people who care about you. Now, Dr. David, I'm going to give you another square.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for the shout out there, McFinn.
Yeah, Paul. I
was going to share my uncle's favorite joke.
Okay.
He was a lawyer, and his favorite joke was, "Trust me, I'm a lawyer."
Well, hey, Paul, I like your laugh. It's infectious.
Yeah, thank you. So my tricks was when I was diagnosed 18 months ago. First thing I went out, ordered a tall toilet and a bidet seat for the future. I still had my right hand so I can install it. Don't need it yet, though it did come in handy a few months ago when I had hip replacement, but it's there for the future. But the biggest thing for me is getting my living trust in order and taking care of business. That was a huge weight off my shoulders. Yeah, I now don't worry about what's going to happen afterwards.
That is very smart of you, Paul, and thank you for sharing it with us. My wife just drove through the stop sign one night. It was dark and it was raining, and she went straight across the highway. And I said, "Mona, we could have died tonight. We got to go home and get a trust written up." And sure enough, it took us about 3 months to organize everything, but we have that trust all set up, so we don't have to think if a car runs me over, everything will be okay. So thank you for mentioning that, Paul. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And your family, I'm sure, is more comforted that they have those details set aside.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Please, Linda.
Okay, if you're at all interested, I think, is it Johnny Five might be interested in this too. I used to be into music and I have 4 CDs out and I've written music and I wrote a song and it's been used by an orphanage in Vietnam. And if you Google my name, Linda Deacon, D-I-E-K-E-N, YouTube, it was I That You Fed. It's the cutest video of these little kids. And it's about in our life, what we're here for before we die. And it's about our life and where we're going to go. So if you're not interested, you might like it.
Hey, my dear, thank you for the efforts that you put into that, because touching people with music and words, it kind of goes in pretty easily. If you got a nice little beat to it, they're just beating away and listening to those words and maybe dancing. Their heart is dancing to them.
The kids are so cute in the video. It's the YouTube that from the orphanage in Vietnam that used it. They're really cute. So.
Oh, thank you. This is a worldwide organization. We have people from all over the world here. And and we were all children once. That's the coolest thing. We were all kids. And then we got gray hair, or some of us. And we wonder how'd that happen so quickly? Our lives are just streaming by. So let's make the best of every day, because when you make the best of your day, those people who are around you, they feel a lot better. When they feel that you're relaxed, it relaxes them, because your caretaker is connected to you. So please, if you can come up with a joke for your caretaker, say it. And if you can come up with a little treat for your caretaker, have somebody pick it up and bring it over for you. You are you. ALS and you are two different things. It's just something that you have, but it's not who you are. You are magnificent beings, and you're all here to share your loveliness with everybody else. You have an extended family. Use it, believe in it, and share with all of these people who need your care. Folks, it's been another Tips and Tricks once a year, but I'll tell you what, tips and tricks should be every time that we get together. So if you come up with any problem that you have, be sure to share it, because somebody else has that problem, and you just might have that answer.
McFinn, tomorrow is my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
All right, happy birthday, Terry.
Thank you.
Okay, confess though. Tell us what year.
What year what?
What year? How many years old are you? How many years have you been here?
I will be 76.
Good girl.
Yay.
Yay.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday to
Happy
Terry.
birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Woohoo.
All right. Your extended family, Terry, we're all around you, babe.
I know, and I love it.
We love it too. I mean, that's the beauty of this. I mean, we all used to be strangers, but we're not strangers anymore. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, sometimes it's hard to go out and find new friends. Not here. It's not hard at all, because we're all on the same path together, and we're going to help each other along the way.
Right.
That's right, Teresa. So if everybody would like to say good night at one time, then everybody can feel it. So on 3, 1, 2, 3. Good night.
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 See you next week.
Merry Christmas.
So beautiful. And don't forget, next week, we're having a little party on the 21st. So join in, and all we're going to do is have a good time. So hope to see you all in 7 days.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Ines, Romo, you've been laughing all evening, dear. I really appreciate it. You add the energy. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. And
Thank
Dorothea.
you for those kind words, McFinn. I really needed it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, dear. I'm with you.
All right. Have a good evening.
Okay. Hey, good night, James. I see you there.
Good night.
Charlie.
Thank you. And good night.
All right. Hey, James. I see you looking at that computer there. Can you give me a smile or a wave? All right. All right, folks. I'm gonna hit the button so that I can see you all soon. Good night.
Good night.